Thank you all for coming to the third and final paid family leave training with Healthy Start and the Work and Family Coalition, California Work and Family Coalition. We're super excited that we were able to bring this training. As many of you know, I'm the program coordinator for the Healthy Start program, and we are continuously working to eliminate the disparities of maternal mortality and infant mortality in the Black community. And we thought this would be a really great training, as paid family leave has been seen and studied and found to contribute to infant mortality. So we're hoping that these trainings will be able to spread this knowledge to our clients. And so we are super thankful for California Work and Family Coalition as always. So I'm going to pass it to Charlotte. Thank you all for coming and sticking it through for 3 trainings.
Yes, thank you so much, Aisha. We are so glad we were able to partner. And everyone, please go ahead and get to know each other in the chat. Please put your name, pronouns, organization, or workplace. And just to iterate what Naisha said, thank you so much for coming back each week. And we hope that all this information has been helpful for all of you and your clients. Next slide, please. And we are the California Work and Family Coalition. My name is Charlotte Flanders. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the Education and Training Manager, and I'll pass it to Jenya.
Hey, everybody. Really glad to be here. I'm Jenya Cassidy, California Work and Family Coalition, she, her pronouns, and great to see you all. I'll pass it to Katie.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to be back for our third training. My name is Katie. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the political organizing director at the coalition, and I will pass to Angelica.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angelica Andrade, and I am the administrative assistant and Spanish training coordinator, and I will pass it to Mia.
Hey everyone, my name is Mia Hemstad. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the communications manager at the coalition. Thanks so much for being here.
And just like last week, we have Aditi Fruitwala joining us today. Aditi?
Hi, everyone. My name is Aditi Fruitwala. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a staff attorney at the ACLU of Southern California in the LGBTQ Gender Equity Reproductive Justice Project. And the ACLU of Southern California is one affiliate of the ACLU. We have 3 in California, a national office, and then 1 in every state, 1 in DC, and 1 in Puerto Rico. And our work is to defend the fundamental rights outlined in the US Constitution and Bill of Rights. We have several issue areas that we work on, including First Amendment, equal protection, due process, privacy, and civil liberties for groups and individuals. And the issue area that I work on is LGBTQ, gender equity, reproductive justice.
Thanks for joining us, Aditi. And Jenya, I'll let you introduce the coalition.
Great, thanks, Charlotte. So the coalition, as people might remember from last time, we're a statewide alliance of organizations and people just united in the belief that all people should have the time and resources to care for themselves and each other. And what we do is 2 basic things. We work on policy, we change policy so that people have different laws that protect their right to take time. We worked on the first paid family leave law in California, and we continue to work really hard to improve that law and make sure that everyone can take that time. Also paid sick days and other ways that people can just balance their work and family life. And the other big part of our work that we're doing today is education and training so more people can access these rights because they know about their rights and they have support when they're taking time to care for their loved ones. Thank you.
And today our training goals is we're going to do a very short review of the paid leave and job protection laws. We're going to learn the basics of how to file a claim and then understand how to communicate with your employer. And our agenda today is we're going to start with the short review, go into how to file a claim, learn how to communicate with your employer, apply all of this into a practice scenario, and then have a Q&A session. So I will pass it off to Katie for our review.
Thanks, Charlotte. So this is going to be a very brief review of paid family leave and job protection laws. And if you have further questions, you can always refer back to our training recordings from trainings 1 and 2, where we go into more depth. But paid family leave and disability insurance are both wage replacement programs that are funded by the California State Disability Insurance Fund, which is funded through all of our taxes. So we are all paying into this program with every paycheck with a small payroll tax that you can see on your paycheck, and it's labeled CASDI. Paid family leave and disability insurance are like two halves of a whole. So it's all the same pot of money. And depending on what the reason is why you need leave, you would either get paid through disability insurance or paid family leave. And you can receive this pay when you are unable to work due to pregnancy, disability, if you're caring for a family member who's seriously ill, if you're bonding with a new child, or dealing with a military exigency. And as we know, wage replacement does not guarantee that your employer will hold your job for you. So it's really important for people to also learn about job protection laws and make sure they qualify for job protection. So again, this is just an extremely brief overview of the relevant laws. And for more information, you can always refer back to our previous trainings, but we have the Family Medical Leave Act, which is a federal law. It's less relevant for us in California, but still important for us to know about. We also have the California Family Rights Act, which is what most people in California are protected by because it's so much stronger and more protective than the Family Medical Leave Act. And then we also have pregnancy disability leave, which is a job protection law for people when they're unable to work due to pregnancy, childbirth, or related issues. So with that, I will pass it to Charlotte, who will walk you through how to actually go about filing a paid family leave claim.
Thanks, Katie. So we're going to go into how to file a paid family leave claim. All the information on these next slides, I found them on the EDD website, and we'll provide resources where you can read more information about it. But what we're going to do today is really just go through the basics of like what to expect, some information that you're going to need during this process, and then provide us more information if you want to look at it in a bit deeper. So how to file a paid family leave claim: you'd apply through the Employment Development Department, the EDD website, and you would create a one-time benefits program online account, as you see here. And this benefits program account will access other benefits, actually, like unemployment and other benefits that you receive by paying taxes. But today we're going to focus on the laws that we've been talking about, which is pregnancy, disability leave, and paid family leave. So after you set up your one-time benefits program account, you input all the information that is needed. You'll see on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see SDI online. So that is where you will find disability insurance claims for your pregnancy disability leave and paid family leave claims that can be filed here. So as we've been talking about, these two halves are one whole. So it's here where you pay for the taxes. So when you see SDI online, that's where you'll find it. And after you click on that, and you'll see on the right-hand side of this screen, this is where you can file new claims, track the progress of current ones, and check the status of any claims that you've submitted. But all the information that you provided in that one-time benefits account will also be here. So next slide, please. And there is also an option to file by mail. Today, we're going to be more so focusing online, but a lot of the online questions and information that you need will also be similar to the mailing process, but we won't really go in depth with the mail process. So we have links here that you can watch an informational video and other tutorials. And one thing we do want to know regarding the mailing claim is that if you are an undocumented worker, or who's planning to file, it is recommended by some of our partners to seek legal advice before applying. Some depending on how you're going about your immigration status and undocumented status, some might say to apply by mail rather than online, because on the online form, it's going to require you to provide your social security number, and it will have a box where it's going to say it verifies this is your social security number. But we want everyone to access their benefits, but we don't want any repercussions if you would choose to an immigration to file for immigration later on. So this is why we say file by the mail claim, because even though it says social security number on there, it's not going to require you to. You can submit W-2 forms, pay stubs that can verify that this is your employer and you're paying into this program. But like I've said, we do recommend you to seek legal advice regarding how to file the claim if you're undocumented, what to expect, and just to make sure there's no repercussions. Because like I said, we want everyone to access their rights and benefits. And I don't know, DT, if you had anything else to add.
Nope, nothing else.
Okay, great. So moving forward, like I said, we're gonna focus on filing by online. So we're gonna focus first on a birthing parent that's transitioning from pregnancy disability leave to a paid family leave bonding claim. So for birthing parents that are transitioning to this, they will automatically receive, as you see here in that red box, the paid family leave bonding claim on the final date that their pregnancy disability insurance payment is issued. So it'll automatically be there. And it's quite a bit of a quick process, especially if you're transitioning from PDL, as a lot of the information is already submitted on there as far as your child. It's really just going to focus on when are you expecting to start your bonding claim, when you're expecting to go back to work. And this is also similar if you choose to file by mail on the final day that you receive disability insurance payment, you'll automatically get your bonding claim in the mail as well. So this is for birthing parents transitioning from PDL to PFL. On the next slide, but if you're a birthing parent that did not file pregnancy disability leave claim, or if you're the non-birthing parent, foster care parents, or adoptive parents, you will file a new or just a very much a regular paid family leave bonding claim. So when you go into your SDI online account, you will see it here, paid family leave for bonding. And before you get to this page where it's going to require you to put information, there's going to be a series of pages that tell you what information you're going to need, what to expect through this process. And I really recommend make sure you read through those pages so you know what you're prepared for. And also to note that you don't have to submit the claim and fill out the claim all in one sitting. You can save it as a draft and come back to it, especially if there's some information you don't know or would like to seek advice regarding the claim process. But some basic information that you will need, of course, is your first and last name, social security number, California driver's license, and your most current employer's information, such as business name, phone number, and mailing address that is stated and reflected from the W-2 or pay stub that you receive. And for the regular bonding claim, it is about a 5 to 6 step process. And some other information that they're going to be asking you about through this process is one, employment and additional questions. So they're going to ask you, what is your estimated date, last day that you worked? Indicate when you want to start the claim and when you want to end the claim, and when you're the estimated date that you're planning to return to work as well. In addition to that, they're going to be asking a bonding certification. So, what is the relationship with the child? Are you the birthing, non birthing parent, foster parent? It's going to ask for the child's social security number, name, date of birth, and gender. And then after you complete all this information and you're ready to submit, you'll find a confirmation page. It's really important, as you see in the red box, you keep that receipt number. This is really important for future reference. Keep track of your claim and submit required documents. From the day you submit your claim, it may take up to 14 days for it to be reviewed, processed, and when you'll know the type of payment you'll receive and when it will begin. And so why it's also important for that receipt number is that for both bonding and caregiving, you'll need to submit a proof of relationship. So we've talked about this in our previous trainings, right? You'll need to provide a proof of relationship that you're either the birthing parent, non-birthing parent. What is your relationship to the child? And this must be submitted 10 days from the date you submit your claim. So under the paid family bonding, you'll find submit electronic paid family leave bonding attachment. And some types of proof of relationship documents would be your child's birth certificate, hospital birth certificate, declaration of paternity, foster care placement record. So there's quite a long list, and the EDD has a long list of what is eligible for these for the bonding proof of relationship. And it also has a list of type of practitioners and healthcare specialists, such as midwives, that can also certify these documents that you could submit to the EDD. Now, for the paid family leave care claim, it's quite similar to what we just walked through for bonding. It's still that 5 to 6 step process, asking for your information, asking for your employer's information, when you want to start and when you want to end the claim, and when you will go back to work. But what's different about the care claim is the care certification. So for the bonding, right, we saw that it's a bonding certification, relationship to child. But for the care claim, it's the care certification, your relationship to the immediate family member that you'll be taking care of. So the care recipient's information, as far as their residence and address. And also for the proof of relationship, as you see here on the screen, it's the physician or practitioner's care certification. So it really certifies that you will be caring for this family member due to this health condition. And another reason why we want that reference number at that receipt number and reference number at the top. Yeah, thank you, Mia. At the top right hand corner here, when you see number 1, the physician can actually fill this out for you and submit it for you on the EDD website, or you can write it down. The physician can fill it out, give it back to you, so you submit it electronically. But it's really important to keep that receipt number, because there's a lot of the documents that you will need to certify, whether for bonding or care benefits, that you'll need to certify your relationship with. So, and the bonding claim will provide this information, and care claim will also provide the information and documents you will need. So on the next slide, so that's really all we had for the claim process. That's where there's really the basic information that you would need. There's a lot more in depth about it, especially sometimes, as we've talked about, each person and scenario is very specific, but we have more information here, as you see on the State Disability Insurance online information and tutorial videos. When you get the slides from Naisha, just scroll all the way down to the resources and we'll provide links to this. I really recommend watching these videos and reading through the tutorials. They're both in English and in Spanish. And just learning a bit more about the process and being acquainted with it. With that, I am going to pass it off to Aditi to talk about how to communicate with your employer.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte. So I'm going to cover a little bit of how to communicate with your employer when you're pregnant or bonding or need to care for a sick family member and you have to ask your employer to take the leave. We're hoping that we can provide just a little guidance on how to do that. So the first step is to know your rights. We really recommend that you review the federal, state, and local laws. As y'all know, this is the third webinar in a series of 3, and the first and second really get deeper into what your rights are. So we recommend that you review those webinars and make sure that you understand your rights and gather your resources. There's a lot of laws. We know it's really complicated, and you don't need to become an expert in all of them just to be able to take your rights or enforce your rights. And so, we really recommend that you print out the resources, have them with you. California Work and Family Coalition and ACLU SoCal are developing some Know Your Rights materials on this issue, and Legal Aid at Work also has some really great ones already. So just print them out and have them handy, and kind of just, know sort of the basics so you know what to ask for. Step 2 is to create your plan. Talk to your medical provider about how much time you will be on leave. This really differs person to person. If you're pregnant and it's a really difficult pregnancy, you might need some more time. If it's a fairly straightforward, uncomplicated pregnancy, you'll need less time. If you're taking care of someone else who's sick, then you'll need to ask them and their medical provider how much time you need. So it's really, depends on the person, it depends on the situation. So talk to your medical provider or someone else's medical provider about how much time you're going to need to be on leave. And then the last thing is to check your company policy. At a minimum, if you qualify for paid family leave and CFRA leave, you will get 8 weeks of partially paid family leave and 4 weeks of unpaid family leave. And your company might have some leave benefits beyond that. Some companies give you more time. Some companies top off your payment for the 60%, they'll top it off to 100%, or for the unpaid leave, they'll give you that 100%. And some companies don't give anything in addition to what you're already owed by the state. So just make sure that you know what your company leave policy is. All right, step 3 is come up with a communication strategy. Contact your employer to request time to meet and discuss your leave. Who you contact really depends on your job and the situation. If your workplace is larger, it might have an HR person or might have a personnel person, someone who is dedicated to dealing with issues like this. And so if you have an HR department, that is who to contact. And if you don't, then contact your supervisor. And you can ask them if they're the right person to talk to, or if you should be talking to someone else about a leave issue. And then identify documents that you can share with your employer if they need resources. Kind of collect all of the Know Your Rights materials and have them ready if they have any questions. Step 4 is practice. Practice explaining the leave with your friends and family and your trusted colleagues. It can be a stressful discussion, and so it'll just go smoother if you've said it out loud a couple of times and can anticipate, how they're going to respond. And as far as what exactly to say, we recommend that you request to take the leave, tell your boss when you need to be on leave. And if you have the exact dates, that would be great. That, here's the date that I need to start, here's the date that I need to end, and tell your boss why. If they have questions about the laws or they're not aware that you have the right to take this leave, you can cite the laws and provide them with the resources. Sometimes it can be helpful to reassure your boss that you intend to return to work after your leave, but this is not a requirement. You are allowed to take paid family leave and then leave your job. The law does not require you to then return. But if you do plan to return, sometimes that helps the conversation to say, you're committed to the job and you intend to return. And then the last thing to do, step 5, is follow up. After you have the meeting, you tell them that you need to take paid family leave, and that if they have any questions, you'll provide them more information about your rights. You can do this over email, in a letter, or hand it to them if you don't have their email address. And after the meeting, follow up by email or a letter outlining what you talked about. It should contain the exact dates that you're going to take leave, if you know it, and the type of leave that you're taking. So if it's medical leave, pregnancy leave, bonding leave, it should list the type of leave, because like we've talked about, there's a different set of rights that attaches to each type of leave. And the other really important thing that I'm going to say is document everything. When you set up the meeting, send an email confirming the meeting. I'm looking forward to talking with you about my leave on this date and this time. After the meeting, send an email summarizing what you talked about. Thank you for meeting with me. Here's what we discussed. Here are the dates of my leave, and here's the type of leave I need. And if your employer, the reason that we're asking you to document everything is that if your employer denies you the leave, you might need to contact an attorney to enforce your rights. And one of the first things an attorney is going to ask is, show me documentation, and do you have any witnesses? And this isn't because we don't believe you, it's that ultimately we're going to have to prove it at some point. And the only way we can prove it is if someone was around to witness it, or if we have emails, letters, text messages, written proof that you did indeed ask for this leave and that you were denied the leave. So just make sure to document everything you can. Right, so we're going to do a scenario. Michelle is a first-time parent and is 30 weeks pregnant. She lives with her partner in San Diego and works for a company with 7 employees. Michelle has worked at her job full-time for 2 years and pays into California state disability insurance. The first question is, does Michelle qualify for pregnancy disability leave? And folks can just throw it in the chat. What do you think? Does she qualify? Yes, Michaela is right. Yes, Michelle qualifies for pregnancy disability leave. She is pregnant. She works for an employer with more than 5 employees. She qualifies for this leave. Does Michelle qualify for paid family leave for bonding? I'm seeing some yeses on this as well. The answer is yes. She pays into state disability insurance. She qualifies for this leave. And does Michelle qualify for job protection while on bonding leave? Yes, 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 yes. The answer is yes. She qualifies for bonding leave. So she qualifies for pregnancy disability leave because she's pregnant, works for an employer with 5 or more employees. Pregnancy disability leave typically lasts for 4 weeks before the estimated due date and 6 to 8 weeks for after. 6 weeks usually if it's a vaginal birth, 8 weeks if it's a C-section. It depends, it's different person to person. Some people need to take more time because they need more time for recovery. And she should receive partial wage replacement of 60% or 70% through state disability insurance because she pays into it with every paycheck. Yes, Michelle qualifies for paid family leave for bonding because she pays into state disability insurance. And she qualifies for job protection for bonding because she is bonding with the new baby. She works for an employer with 5 or more employees. She has worked more than 1,250 hours in the past year, which is about 25 hours a week. And she has worked at her employer for more than 1 year. And this is all a summary of what we talked about earlier, but also the first 2 webinars. And so if you need a refresher, we really recommend you go revisit those first 2 webinars. And eligibility requirements for the California Family Rights Act: 1 year on the job, 1,250 hours worked in the prior year, which amounts to about 25 hours a week, and worked at an employer for 5 or more employees. All right, and I'm going to pass it off to Katie.
Thanks, Aditi. You all got all the right answers, so very exciting. But just to review, this is kind of how all of these laws fit together. So I kind of think it's helpful to think about wage replacement and job protection as kind of 2 different paths that ideally will line up so that people have both job protection and wage replacement. So on the top line of this graphic, you can see wage replacement, which during pregnancy disability leave comes from state disability insurance. And then you can see the 8 weeks of paid family leave for bonding, which is wage replacement during that bonding time. And then on the bottom of the graphic, you can see where job protection comes into play. So at first, this pregnant person would have job protection through pregnancy disability leave. And then following the end of their pregnancy disability leave, they would have job protection through the California Family Rights Act. I did also just want to note that the 8 weeks of paid family leave does not cover all of the job protected time that this person would have under the California Family Rights Act. So people will choose to deal with that scenario in different ways. Sometimes people will only take the 8 weeks that they're paid. Sometimes people are able to take additional time that's unpaid, and every person kind of deals with that differently, and just wanted to highlight that unfortunately job protection and wage replacement doesn't quite line up for that length of time. So because we know a lot of you are seeing people prenatally when they might have time to really make plans for taking their leave, we wanted to just highlight some other things that someone could consider if they're early in their pregnancy and are planning to take time off. So we know there's a lot on this slide, and this is just kind of in an ideal scenario, you would be able to consider all of these things, but just wanted to highlight all of them for you, especially as we said, if you're speaking to people before they have their baby. So I think the first thing that's helpful to think about is, does this person have a partner or someone else who would be taking leave at the same time? If they have a partner, what does their partner qualify for? Do they also qualify for paid family leave for bonding? Do they also qualify for job protected leave? If so, would the pregnant person and their partner like to take bonding leave at the same time? Would they like to take bonding leave all at once or in parts? These are just different kind of questions to consider as they think about taking this time to be with their baby. As Aditi mentioned, it's helpful to document everything, including the estimated dates that the pregnant parent would be on pregnancy disability leave, anticipated dates for paid family leave. And it can be helpful to actually pull up a calendar and kind of see just what that looks like visually. And that can help too in terms of planning with the partner or with other family members. And then we also wanted to highlight just finances, right? Wage replacement is not 100% of your pay. And people only qualify for the 70% wage replacement at a pretty low income. It's actually less than full-time minimum wage work. So for most people, they're going to be receiving 60% of their pay, and that can impact how long people are able to take on paid family leave. Again, paid family leave is a maximum of 8 weeks, but job protected leave is a maximum of 12 weeks. So these are all just things that someone could consider in terms of making a plan that's going to work for them and their family, balancing both what they legally qualify for and also other considerations like planning with their partner. So once a person has kind of considered all of those things, they can move into next steps and actually begin the process of requesting time off and make sure that that time off is protected. And so I'm going to pass it back to Aditi, who will dive into some more depth on those topics.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. So what does Michelle need to do what does she need to do next to begin the process to request time off? So the first thing that Michelle should do is discuss her leave with a medical provider and request paperwork for benefits. Your provider should know how to do this. Charlotte sort of showed you what the document will look like. And if your provider doesn't know, the EDD website will have the form. And there are also legal aid organizations that should be able to provide you guidance on this. And so Legal Aid at Work has a really good healthcare provider guide with sample letters that a doctor can use. So you don't need to create this from scratch. This is all available on the EDD website and with legal organizations. The second thing is to review the claim requirements on the EDD website that tell you what to submit. So Charlotte earlier went through, the list of proof that we need, proof of relationship, medical certificate. The EDD website has this list as well. And so just make sure that you have all of the necessary documents you need to submit your claim. And then the third thing that we keep repeating is keep all documentation in paper form or in an electronic folder. Anything you send off in paper, if you do a paper application, or if you send your employer a letter rather than an email, make sure to make photocopies and keep one copy for yourself. Just always have copies, whether that's electronic or in paper. And then the second question is, what does she need to do to protect her ability to take time off? The first thing is to communicate with her employer 30 days prior to starting pregnancy disability leave, if she knows. Sometimes pregnancy disability leave has to start really quickly because the pregnancy becomes complicated quickly and you don't have that time. But for most pregnancies that are uncomplicated, you will start the leave about 4 weeks before your due date. And so 30 days before that, you need to communicate with your employer in order to preserve your right to take the leave. The second thing is to use sample letters to outline the anticipated dates of leave and type of leave. And the third is, if the employer is not cooperative, contact free legal services. There are a lot of free legal organizations that provide free legal advice for this exact type of issue. Your employer is not doing you a favor by giving you leave. You have the right to take leave. So if your employer says no, they are the ones breaking the law. And so you can contact a legal organization like Legal Aid at Work or ACLU SoCal to enforce your rights. The next thing is to apply for pay through the EDD website. You begin the disability insurance claim process for pregnancy disability leave and submit the claim through the EDD website. And then here is Michelle's timeline of paid leave. So if we think of week 1 as 4 weeks before the due date, so that's when Michelle's pregnancy disability leave starts. Again, it's different for every person. Some people might need more leave if they're having a complicated pregnancy. On week 4, Michelle gives birth, and that's when her partner's bonding leave starts. Michelle's pregnancy disability leave goes for 6 weeks because she gave a vaginal birth. So her pregnancy disability leave ends at week 10, and Michelle's bonding leave starts at week 10. Then at week 12, her partner's bonding leave ends because her partner's bonding leave started at week 4 and her partner gets 8 weeks. So at week 12, her partner's bonding leave ends. And then at week 24, Michelle's bonding leave ends. This all looks really complicated, and it helps when you have a calendar to just count out the number of weeks for pregnancy disability, and then, pregnancy disability pre-birth, pregnancy disability post-birth, and bonding leave. And then you can just see on your calendar. But this is a really great timeline of how much time Michelle gets and how much time her partner gets. That's it. I'm going to hand it back to Charlotte.
Great. So with all of that, we wanted to open it up for questions, any questions regarding what we talked about today or even in the past 2 sessions as well. So you can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask questions.
I think you guys did such a good job that no one had questions.
Or comments. One thing I was thinking. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask a question, but it was from previous sessions, so I feel kind of like, I don't know if it's okay, but I'll just ask it and you can tell me whatever you want. What about when someone doesn't work for an employer, they're self-employed, what are their rates? But you probably already covered it, so sorry. I'll ask for the slides from before if you want.
No, you're fine. I'll send the slide. I think I saw your email, Brooke. And then, yeah, I'm gonna pass it either Jenya or Aditi if you want to talk about for those who are self-employed.
Well, maybe Aditi knows a little bit more, but one of the things I'll go look for in a second is that article that Allison wrote that we all share. It's a little bit complicated, but if you are self-employed, a contractor, you can opt to pay into SDI in order to take either bonding leave or caregiving leave at some point, and also SDI, for your own condition. But it's a little bit complicated. You can look on the EDD website. It's called the DIEC program. And it's not so much that it's complicated as much as you need to sort of calculate and pay in kind of well in advance. And then you do have to commit to the program for a couple of years for you're not supposed to just opt in and then opt out. But I'm going to go look for the article and put it in the chat because oh, yay. Okay, that's the, what Aditi just shared is the FAQs on it. And then I'll also share an article in first-person experience doing it from one of our coalition members. And Aditi, do you want to add anything too? Because I gave kind of a quickie thing about it.
I don't actually work with many self-employed people, so I don't really have anything to add from that perspective. But just the thing to know is that it's not automatic. If you aren't self-employed, your wages are automatically going, your taxes are automatically going into the California SDI fund, and so that you automatically are eligible for it when you need it. And that is not true if you're self-employed. It's not automatic. You have to do something extra to voluntarily opt into the program. So yeah, but you can be eligible if you want to be.
That was a great question, Brooke. Thank you. And I hope it answered your question as well. Anyone else have any questions, or when you've been working in the field and you've been working with new parents, um, any questions regarding that? Lisa put in the chat, we see a lot of our clients who are hairdressers, house cleaners, etc., going back to work early because they don't qualify for paid family leave or paid leave. And that's so heartbreaking and frustrating. And one thing maybe Katie, if you want to talk about real quick, which is why this is a legislative process and why it's important to advocate. And it's not done yet. You still have time to advocate for these laws. I don't know, Katie, if you want to add something to that as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, Lisa, if there's any particular circumstances that your clients are facing where we can try and help, make sure that if there's anything that they can qualify for that people know about that, please let us know. I know that a lot of people who do those kinds of jobs are paid in cash. And so that can get a little tricky in terms of calculating SDI and whatnot. But yes, we are in the process of advocating for a number of different improvements to paid family leave. I think one of the most urgent campaigns we have going on right now is that our wage replacement rate, which we all know is already too low at 60%, is actually going to go down at the end of this year if the California legislature doesn't take action, because the law that increased it to 60% had an expiration date of the end of 2021. So what we're currently advocating for is that California lawmakers include protecting the wage replacement rate in the budget, which they are making right now. And we all should have a say in that because it's our tax dollars that are creating that budget. And so I'm happy to share the link to that action alert in the chat for everyone to take action on that. And then we also have a number of other really important campaigns to expand paid sick days, to make sure people can take leave for chosen family members, because we know that the definition of family is too narrow. So would love for all of you to get involved with any of those issues that you find compelling. And I know that some training participants actually already did take action on some of those campaigns. So yeah.
And I think Lisa put one more thing. I wonder, as we start hearing more about universal basic income, is there any talk about using this to fill the paid leave gaps? Also, local partner JFS has a position open which will support basic income projects. I don't know, Katie, if you want to address the question about is there any talk using to fill like paid leave gaps, and what the talk is about the current like funding mechanisms.
Not that I am aware of, but that's a really interesting question. I think what we're looking at right now is for the current moment in California, they actually have extra money called a surplus, where because they got more in revenue, in tax revenue, than they were anticipating. So what we're currently advocating for is that the legislature basically take some of that extra money that they have and put it in the fund to make sure that the fund is healthy and is, and is able to pay out the benefits that people need. Because just like a lot of other programs last year, a lot of people needed to use state disability insurance and paid family leave. So we think it's important for them to shore up that fund. But yeah, that's a really interesting question and one I hadn't thought about before.
Something I want to add to that, because I think when we think about the gaps, right, there's like the payment gap, and then there's also the gap for anyone who's a freelancer who's just completely left out for a lot of the situation, which is terrible because moms are freelancers too, and partners and things like that. And I think one of the things, you know, we have some policy solutions that we're working on right now, but every year there are new policy solutions. And as someone who's very new to advocacy, I just joined the coalition last year, I'm learning how important it is to organize your community. So if you know a lot of freelancers, hairdressers, people like that who are, you know, not protected employees and don't have the same rights that employees have, organize your communities, rally around a common mission, find a lawmaker who will back your need with a policy solution, and then really advocate for that policy solution. What I'm learning through this process of advocacy is every year the California legislature gathers and they work on getting a policy through from like, it's like February or March through like September. And the bill can go through ups and downs. Of what matters so much is that there are people who are advocating, who are calling, who are telling the reps, hey, this bill is really important to me as an independent contractor, as a hairdresser, please support it. And so I think the more we normalize activism and advocacy and really asking for our rights, because if anything, I've learned that no one is like staying up all night trying to figure out how to get hairdressers more rights. Like hairdressers have to get together and organize and rally and get what they need. And I'm seeing a lot of progress in California, but I'm seeing that it very much is started by everyday working people who are getting together and then working alongside a lawmaker who's progressive to then get those rights passed. So I think there is hope. And there are a lot of gaps. And I think, you know, the best person to identify those gaps and know what the solution is for your community is you in your community. You're going to know it best. So I just recommend getting involved in advocacy and like learning what it is. It's very empowering, can be very frustrating, but I think that there's a lot of potential for progress. So just wanted to bring that up. Thanks for all the good questions. Because yes, the rights that we're currently sharing in every training we know, just they're not enough. And so that's why we pair education with advocacy so that we can keep improving the laws that we have.
Yeah,
Jenya mentioned something about UBI. Jenya, I'm not actually sure what UBI is. I don't know.
Universal Basic Income, sorry. No, I was just, when you were saying that, I was thinking there's a lot of excitement about the idea of universal basic income. And I think, but I hadn't really thought, to Lisa's question earlier, how it would work with the existing safety net, because we definitely want to strengthen our safety net and we don't necessarily want to replace it. But I'm really curious, and I think it's just something I'm noting that we should all learn more about how UBI advocates see that and how we working on these types of issues can connect to that, because it's a pretty big growing movement around the country. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
And no, thank you, Mia, for saying that. It's so beautifully said and so true and needed. And I hope it inspires some people to get involved. But, any other questions? Because if not, we can go and look at some resources and then end a little bit early. I know some people have other meetings to go to, but, if you have any other questions, feel free to put it in the chat now. If not, you can always email any of us at the coalition, Aditi, reach out to Naisha and she can connect you to us, and we can answer questions at any time.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Great.
Great, and then here are some resources. As you see, it's hyperlinked in here. So a lot more about understanding paid leave, some really great blog posts, both in English and Spanish. As we mentioned before, Legal Aid at Work has some really great pregnancy, parenting, and my job guides. I recommend you just looking through their resources. They have a great helpline that's in various languages. And then, as I mentioned earlier, regarding the tutorials and videos regarding the claim process here, if you see the Employment Development Department, click those links and it will take you through that claim process. And then some other resources are regarding paid sick and safe days. ACLU SoCal and NorCal has really great resources regarding local ordinances regarding paid sick and safe days. As we know that we talked about last week, every California worker gets 3 days, but some local ordinances does expand that. So I would recommend you looking at that. And then just some other childcare resources as well. So that's all we had for today. If you want to stay a few minutes and ask questions, that would be great. But thank you so much, Naisha and your team, for allowing us to partner and have these presentations. Thank you for everyone who has stuck with us for the last few weeks. I hope this has been helpful to all of you. And thank you to Aditi, who also joined us and helping us present today. And I don't know if anyone else on my team or Aditi wanted to say something.
I would just say that the work that you all are already doing is also advocacy, and that you are I know that you're already changing lives with the work that you do. And we just hope that we can, give you more resources and support in being able to do that.
Yes, but so thank you, everyone. I hope you can stay connected. Here are social media links. Mia does an amazing job with all of our social media, so stay up to date with that. We hope you can stay connected with us, and we'll continue to stay connected with Naisha and her team because we love all the work that all of you do, just like Katie said. So thank you again today. We'll send these slides and recordings to Naisha. She'll send them out. But in any case, always reach out to any of us at any time. So thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, Charlotte.